I think we find the bailout points and the segments of a project and places where we have a fail-safe where we can pull out, or we need to go to the very end on it. It happens very early in the project. It has to happen. Now, I usually have a feel for that after negotiating ideas with clients. I'll usually go to 3 or 4 different clients and try and scare up projects for the class. And in talking with them, you get a feel for projects that can be scaled up or scaled back if you need to. But I don't go into it with exact ideas of where that might need to happen. That usually happens as part of the design process that our students go through, the whole front-end analysis piece. They go in and identify the specific outcomes that we want for users. They talk about the parameters and the needs and the expected expenses and costs that are starting to emerge. And they'll develop a rough design of what we want very early on in the project. Everybody gets kind of this idea about what they want. And they'll have specs for the entire project along with as much detail as we can provide. And then we take that back to the client. The client's maybe been talking to me up till that point. At this point, we unleash the team on them. And the team sits down with the client and talk through, here are the things and here are the steps we think we have to go through. Here's what we think we can deliver, and here's what we're sure we can deliver. Those things are things that we take up in the teams. And I think that's an important thing, because I think it's an important part of the learning to be an instructional designer, is going through that process of defining what those scaling points might be, or where those scaling points might be. But the other stages that we do typically in this course is we're working with a client. So that whole front-end analysis, we'll take that with a report to the client, sit down, have a good conversation around it, and then the client will sign off. Okay? Then we go into full development. That we've already, very early on, by the way, before, I should have mentioned, before even the project begins, I sign a memorandum of understanding with the client. So everybody's on the same page, but it's pretty rough. We don't know what the product's going to look like yet. None of us do. But so now we're into the process. We do a front-end analysis, signed off by the client. The client says, yeah, that looks like what we want. That's what we agreed to. I think that'll do. I think those will be good points if we need to scale back. And then we go to the development phase, and you just start creating the product. And this is a matter of trying to put together a fully functioning prototype of the full product. Everything done and in a shape that you can share with the client. So that takes, if in a 14-week process, I like to see the front-end analysis take about 3 weeks. Like, we want to spend time on it, but we've got to move. That's all stuff you do before you do the work, right? So it's important stuff, but it's stuff before you get down to the work. And so that whole work period of developing the prototype and delivering that to the client takes, I like it to take 6 weeks or so, if we can. That's got to be fluid. We don't know. It depends on the project, depends on the complexity. And then, but then we deliver that. We go over it with the client again. The client sometimes is somebody who is signing for the organization, and they sometimes have to take these products and go back to meet with a board of directors or with a task team or a team that they have with their organizations. So that can take a little bit of time itself. But at any rate, they'll sign off on that. If they're relatively happy with it, they'll give us feedback on what we want. But now we go into, there's been some usability testing, obviously, at that point. But now we go into full evaluation, tweaking, making the thing work exactly the way it's got to work, a fully deliverable product by the end of this, and we test it, make final changes, draw up evaluation reports, user guides, manuals, all of the material you have to hand off to a client, where they have all the passwords and all the subscription information and anything else, all the legal information that they might need, all of the language conventions that you've used, so that they know that if they move forward with this and make any changes to what you did, they don't change any of the key points. So all of that, and that's a third delivery point. And so we'll sign off on that, and usually that's with a huge party. That's usually pull in everybody, every stakeholder who's been involved, everybody and their friends, families, and dogs and cats, and we get in a room and we celebrate the delivery of the product. And those are wonderful times. And usually the team is demonstrating how the product works and why it's designed the way it is. And it's a real revelation to a lot of people. They don't realize what goes into a properly designed product. It blows them away.